Have you ever heard about mysterious artifacts that defy all the logic of modern archaeology? Discoveries that raise more questions than answers, objects and places that simply should not exist? Imagine if the history of humanity were much older, more complex, maybe even extraterrestrial than we dare believe. Today, we are going to explore 10 of those archaeological mysteries that continue to intrigue experts and the curious all around the world. Get ready. After hearing this list, you may never see the history of humankind in the same way again. Come on, tell me, are you ready to face the unknown? Let's start our journey then. Number 1, the Gosford Glyphs. In the dense forests of Kariong, Australia, lies one of the most controversial archaeological enigmas on the planet. The so-called Gosford Glyphs consist of roughly 300 symbols carved into a sandstone rock formation, but most impressive is that these symbols are astonishingly similar to ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The first record of these carvings was made in the 1970s, but since then, the debate has never ceased. Are these inscriptions proof of an Egyptian visit to Australia thousands of years ago? Some enthusiasts say yes, suggesting that ancient Egyptian navigators crossed unknown oceans long before Columbus or Magellan. Others believe it is all just an elaborate hoax, created by local artists or attention seekers. But here's the even more intriguing part. Several independent scholars claim the symbols follow linguistic coherence with ancient Egyptian, supposedly, telling the story of an Egyptian prince who shipwrecked on the Australian coast more than 4,000 years ago. And it doesn't stop their supposed protective curse, a kind of funerary spell, would also be recorded on the stones. So what do you think? Are we facing undeniable proof of prehistoric transoceanic contact? Or just another example of how our imagination can fill in the gaps of history? Leave it in the comments. Do you believe the Egyptians could have reached Australia millennia ago? Or is it all no more than a modern invention? Number 2, the lost city of Pavlopetrino. Imagine swimming in crystal clear waters off the southern coast of Greece and suddenly seeing the ruins of an entire city submerged beneath your feet. Streets, squares, tombs, even traces of houses with well-defined rooms. Sounds like a movie set. This city really exists and is called Pavlo, pre-considered the oldest submerged city in the world, officially discovered in 1967. But only fully mapped decades later with modern technologies, Pavlopetri dates back roughly 5,000 years. That means it existed at the same time the pyramids of Egypt were being built. But what truly intrigues archaeologists is the degree of urban planning found there. Well-laid-out streets, drainage systems, public spaces, and even signs of maritime commerce. All this suggests a highly organized society with an economy based on the Aegean Sea, long before cities like Athens or Sparta arose. Why did Pavlopetri sink? It is believed that a series of earthquakes and changes in sea level were responsible for submerging the city, preserving it as an extraordinary time capsule. Do you think there are other lost cities hidden beneath the waters of the Mediterranean or other seas waiting to be discovered? Or is Pavlopetri a rare exception, a unique window into a past we are only beginning to understand? If you could explore the depths without limits, would you go in search of those submerged cities, or leave the past where it is, untouched and silent beneath the waves? Number 3, the Saqqara bird. Imagine exploring one of the tombs of ancient Egypt, amidst hieroglyphs and millennial sarcophagi, and finding a small wooden object about 15 centimeters long, carved more than 2,200 years ago. At first, this artifact discovered in 1898 in the Saqqara necropolis seemed like just an artistic representation of a bird. However, its aerodynamic shape with an elongated body, inclined wings, and even a keel, that structure found in boats and aircraft caught the attention of modern engineers and researchers. Some contend that the Saqqara bird is not just a sculpture, but a scale model of a flying machine, perhaps a rudimentary glider. Could the ancient Egyptians have possessed some knowledge of aerodynamic principles thousands of years before the Wright brothers' first powered flight? Skeptics argue that it is merely a coincidence, a ritual piece, perhaps part of a toy or an amulet with religious symbolism. But, interestingly, when full-scale replicas were tested with the same proportions, the bird displayed properties indicating a surprising ability to glide. Is the Saqqara bird a relic proving that humanity was already experimenting with flight concepts millennia ago? Or are we projecting our modern fascination with flight onto an artifact that had a completely different purpose? If you could travel back to ancient Egypt, would you ask the craftsman the true purpose of this object? Or would you prefer to leave the mystery intact, fueling our eternal curiosity? Number 4, the Amazonian dark earth. Imagine walking through the Amazon and amid the vastness of one of the most biodiverse forests in the world. Finding a soil completely different from what you'd expect. A dark, fertile, mysterious soil. This is the enigma of Terra Preta, or Amazonian dark earth, as it is known internationally, unlike the typical soils of the Amazon region, which are acidic and poor in nutrients. Dark earth is extremely rich, capable of sustaining agricultural crops far more productive than normal. Its most intriguing archaeological analyses indicate that this soil was artificially created by indigenous peoples more than 2,000 years ago. How did these ancient inhabitants accomplish such a feat? The most accepted theory is that they developed a highly sophisticated technique, mixing charcoal, organic remains, and broken ceramics into the soil, creating a fertile layer that remains productive to this day. But what does this reveal about the Amazonian civilizations? Far more than simple hunter-gatherers, these peoples demonstrated a profound knowledge of ecology and environmental engineering, capable of transforming a hostile environment into a true agricultural paradise. Now, think with me. What else could be hidden beneath the dense forest waiting to be discovered? Or does the forest guard secrets we will never be able to fully unravel? Number 5. The Rock Lake Pyramids. Now think about swimming peacefully in the dark waters of a lake in the state of Wisconsin, USA, and discovering, beneath the surface, structures that resemble small stone pyramids. Seems unlikely? Well, know that, according to various reports and investigations, the Rock Lake Pyramids really do exist, and there are those who believe they are remnants of a lost pre-Columbian civilization. The first mentions of these structures appeared in the 19th century, when local fishermen and divers reported seeing triangular and rectangular shapes arranged in an orderly fashion on the lake bed. Later, in the 1930s, amateur archaeologist named Carroll Lake dedicated years of his life to investigating the area, claiming that at least 12 such submerged structures existed, made of stone stacked with impressive precision. But what would these pyramids be? A natural formation? Ruins of a hitherto unknown Native American civilization? Or, as some suggest, vestiges of a culture that existed even before migrations to the American continent? To this day, Rock Lake remains a source of fascination and debate. Academic research is limited partly because of difficult access and the murky waters that hamper clear documentation of the structures. And then I ask you, does the bottom of this lake truly hide a lost chapter of human history? Or is it all just optical illusions created by the stones and the fertile imagination of explorers? If you had the chance to descend there, would you venture into the depths of the lake to unravel this mystery? Or would you prefer to keep that question mark alive, feeding our eternal fascination with the unknown? Number 6. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. Imagine being a diver exploring the cold, dark waters of the Baltic Sea between Sweden and Finland, and suddenly coming across something that looks like it came straight out of a science fiction movie. A gigantic structure about 60 meters in diameter, with perfectly circular lines and right angles. This is the enigmatic Baltic Sea Anomaly, discovered in 2011 by the diving group OceanX. The structure immediately sparked speculation around the world. Sonar images show a shape many described as the submerged Millennium Falcon. Yes, that famous Star Wars ship. But what, after all, could it be? There's no shortage of theories. Some suggest it is merely a natural geological formation, perhaps the result of millennial glacial activity. Others speak of a structure built by an ancient, forgotten civilization. And of course, there are those who believe it to be an alien spacecraft that crashed into the sea thousands of years ago and remains hidden there. The mystery only deepens because, according to the divers' reports, electronic equipment failed when approaching the anomaly, as if some invisible force were protecting or concealing the structure. Coincidence? Something more? So then what do you think? Are we dealing with a mere quirk of nature or with underwater evidence of unknown technology? If you could dive there, would you have the courage to approach and investigate? Number 7. The Brazilian Geoglyphs. Imagine flying over the Amazon rainforest and suddenly noticing perfect geometric patterns carved into the ground. Circles, squares, lines extending hundreds of meters. These are the Brazilian Amazon geoglyphs, one of the most impressive and underrated archaeological mysteries in the world. Discovered starting in the 1970s, when deforestation began to reveal previously hidden areas of the forest, these geoglyphs date back more than 2,000 years. To date, over 450 of these structures have been cataloged, mainly across the states of Acre, Rondônia, and Amazonas. But what is most surprising is that, for a long time, the Amazon was believed to be an untouched jungle, inhabited only by small groups of hunter-gatherers. These geoglyphs, however, suggest the opposite, that complex, well-organized societies lived there, manipulating the landscape on a monumental scale. For what purpose? Religious ceremonies? Astronomical observatories? Territorial markers? No one knows for sure. The most provocative? Some of these structures are so symmetrical and precise that scholars have wondered whether their builders might have possessed some kind of advanced geometric knowledge, or even, who knows, external assistance. And you? Do you believe these impressive works are testimony to the sophistication of ancient Amazonian peoples until now underestimated? Or is there something even more mysterious hidden beneath the vastness of the forest? Tell me if you could freely explore the Amazon. Would you go in search of new geoglyphs, or would you prefer to keep the mystery intact? Number 8. The IUD aluminum wedge. Picture the following scene. Workers excavating an area on the banks of the Marek River in Romania suddenly find something totally unexpected. A metallic object buried more than 10 meters deep among fossilized mammoth bones. But it is not just any object, it is a piece of aluminum with a peculiar shape, reminiscent of part of a landing gear system. This artifact became known as the IUD aluminum wedge. The problem? Aluminum only began to be produced on a large scale in the 19th century. How then could this material have been buried in a geological layer supposedly dating back 11,000 years? Some believe this is a classic case of an out-of-place artifact of an anachronistic technology that should not exist in that era. Ancient astronaut theorists, of course, embraced this discovery as proof of extraterrestrial visits to Earth, suggesting that the IUD wedge could have belonged to an alien spacecraft. On the other hand, skeptics point out that, although the object is curious, the exact dating of the site is controversial. Perhaps it was simply modern refuse that, by accident, ended up where it should not be. It's confusing those who found it. But then I ask you, is the IUD aluminum wedge truly concrete evidence of advanced technologies? Or even visitors from other planets operating in our distant past? Or is it just a classic example of how archaeological finds can be misinterpreted? And you, if you could examine the artifact in person, what would be your bet? Human technology or something alien? Number 9. The Lothagam North Pillar Site. Now imagine a place that could completely change what we know about the earliest organized human societies. The Lothagam North Pillar Site, located in the Lake Turkana region of Kenya, is exactly that. A place that challenges traditional ideas about the evolution of human cultures, discovered and excavated in recent decades. This archaeological site houses one of the oldest funerary monuments in Africa, dated to about 5,000 years ago. Here you might think, okay, an ancient cemetery, what's the mystery? But the point is that Lothagam North was not built by an agricultural, sedentary society, as has always been assumed necessary to erect such complex monuments. On the contrary, those who built this place were nomadic pastoral groups constantly moving in search of food and water for their herds. This detail seems small, but it's revolutionary. For decades, archaeologists believed that only agricultural societies had the stability needed to develop monumental architecture, structured religion, and collective ceremonies. Lothagam North proves otherwise, that even people in constant movement were capable of creating lasting, sophisticated monuments. Now I ask you, have we underestimated the complexity of past nomadic societies? If there are other monuments like this, still buried, ready once again to change our entire outlook on the origins of civilization? Do you think we still know only the surface of our own history? Number 10. The Fuente Magna Bowl. Imagine walking through the highlands of Bolivia and suddenly coming across an artifact that seems to have come directly from the ancient Middle East. That was the case with the discovery of the enigmatic Fuente Magna Bowl, an object that has puzzled archaeologists and historians for decades. This large stone vessel was found near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia, and at first glance might seem like just another ceremonial piece from the pre-Columbian cultures of the Andean region. But the real mystery lies in its inscriptions. They are not typical Andean designs, but rather symbols that remarkably resemble the cuneiform characters of Mesopotamia. Yes, you heard right. There are those who claim that the Fuente Magna Bowl displays Sumerian writing, a civilization that flourished more than 12,000 kilometers away. In ancient Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the idea that Sumerian navigators might have crossed oceans and reached South America sounds absurd, but is it really? Defenders of this theory argue that the vessel is concrete proof of transoceanic contacts long before Columbus. Others, more skeptical, suggests that the object might be a modern forgery, perhaps made to attract tourists or confuse researchers. But here's the big question. What if, after all, ancient civilizations were far more interconnected than we ever imagined? And you, what do you think? Is this vessel an elaborate fraud or evidence that the Sumerians sailed to the New World millennia ago? I'm curious to know your opinion. Would you let the mystery stand or investigate until you discovered the truth? What did you think of these discoveries that challenge everything we think we know about human history? Is the Saqqara bird really an ancestral airplane model? Do you believe the enigmatic Baltic Sea anomaly might be, who knows, an alien ship hidden under the icy waters? And what about the mysterious submerged pyramids of Rock-Lakar? They just natural formations or evidence of a lost civilization? I really want to know your opinion, so leave it here in the comments. Which of these mysteries do you think is the most plausible? And which one intrigued you the most? If you liked this video, don't forget, give it a like. It really helps the channel keep bringing content like this. Also, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed so you won't miss any of our upcoming explorations into humanity's mysteries. And of course, share this video with your friends. I'm sure they'll love debating these enigmas with you. Oh, and if you enjoyed this content, then you will definitely like the other video appearing on your screen right now. In it, we explore even more mysteries that science has yet to explain. Thank you so much for joining me up to this point. A big hug, and until the next mystery.